So yeah, what's next on the doohickey? Ow.
Well, we've did you touch on the Godot stuff for the RPG? Yes, yes, you did.
Ooh.
And then I jumped in with Blender. Cool. Should we talk about discovering Godot 2 or Godot for everyone?
We'll talk about Godot for everyone. We're going to talk about discovering Godot too, because that's not a thing I'm making.
That's what I was saying. Discovering Godot 2, or as it's actually known, Godot for everyone, because I forgot the name.
Godot for everyone. I mean, I've been playing around with the early courses we've been looking at. I don't think I do want to make the entire thing classic arcade games. Like I like the idea of the first few being things like a Space Invader style game, a
Yeah.
Snake style game, whatever. Maybe a Frogger one. But I do want to branch out into more interesting stuff. I'd like to see Cube 2 Kickabout come back. In fact, we have Tuki Kickabout as a prototype. It's looking good. But still, it's just waiting for the features to stop being added and tweaked
Yeah.
and coming in. Part of me is wondering. I'm still trying to play around with what is the first game, because when we
It's
did
always a
Discovering Everyone,
challenge.
we had that Looney Lips thing, which is basically a Mad Libs style game. And the advantage of that is we don't have to worry about moving characters across screen. We can just deal with the basics of what it is and end
Yeah.
up with something that's fun to play. It's not really a game, but it's something we can have fun with. And I'd like to do something like that before we start diving in, but it might be worth just diving straight in with Space Invaders.
It's
I don't
always
know.
a challenge when at the beginning of any course that's meant for beginners is how do we make it exciting without losing people? Because when you've been coding or modeling for years and years and years, you get to this point where is this still beginner friendly? It's simple and easy for me, but it's
I mean,
it's it's
there's
it's
a few things
challenging.
going on there, right? Like on the one hand, we need it beginner friendly. We need to part of the design brief for this course is it's for everyone. Everyone should be able to start it up, having never done coding before, and at least get the basic understanding. But that means the first few sections are going to be very, very basic, very, very slow. What is a variable? What is a function?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, right? Which for a lot of people is simply not interesting because they've done that, right? It's like, okay, show me what's different. So that's one of the reasons that we like doing these big courses as modular courses now,
Yeah.
where you can buy the entire course or you can just buy the modules you want. And that's what's happening with the Discovering Blender, Blender for Everyone, the Blender RPG.
I'm
Help.
gonna have to go
Help.
domain grabbing at this point.
I forgot the name of the Blender course. My brain doesn't work.
Let's carry on.
It's the Carry On Blender course. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Oh, matron.
Oh dear. I'm lightheaded. Why we like doing the modular ones because you can sort of pick and choose. There is still value in doing the basic one, but you don't have to, right? You could just say, okay, I know how to do that bit. I don't really need to know how to move a character left, right, up, down. What is this character class? How do I use the navigation agent and the avoidance collision? What is an obstacle? Right, what's this
Yeah.
plugin called Navigation Obstacle 3D? How does it work? That's the kind of stuff you probably want to jump in. So you just move to the first thing that has it in there. Part of me wants to do something like Heistmeisters, but I don't want to do Heistmeisters again. I did it with the board game course, and then I did it with Discovering Godot. They were different games, but I reused the same concept.
Yeah.
But a stealth game is fun. Top down is fun. So I don't know.
Of
I
course,
also
with
might
the
have to go back and redo some of the graphics I did with Libra Sprite.
one of the
I don't know.
things I was thinking is with Godot's new lighting engine, actually looking at that again, but using the more detailed lighting engine might actually be a compelling enough reason to just redo the game, but actually with a more emphasis maybe on the stealth
Yeah.
and having light and dark, a bit like the early versions and probably the later versions of Splinter Cell, where you would be in the darkness, you'd be invisible, and when you came out, you would be very much visible. It can be binary like that. Of course, Thief was a great one for being in pitch blackness, especially when I remember playing Thief 2 and a guard, I was in a doorway and I made a noise and the guard literally was like, "Who's I smell someone," and they were like right up in your face like that. It was nuts.
What I like about those early Warren Spector games is, from what I can tell, almost every single one of them was almost an abject disaster until the last minute. Like no one was enjoying it, and then they were like, "No, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this." It worked.
I mean,
Everything is Godot.
have you played any of the Thief games in any recent time?
Do you mean have I played any of the remake Thief games?
Not the remake, the actual originals.
No.
So they definitely suffer from like old school control system.
Mm.
The number of times I've tried to replay it and I've made a noise because controls rather than actually being an umpty.
Fighting a control system is always fun. I mean, we were having a chat
Yeah.
off stream a few days back about The Long Dark, and I don't know what it is about that game. I'm always able to set how many hours I want to sleep for, and then pick up my bedroll rather than go to sleep every time. I like sometimes 3 or 4 times in a row, which when you're like dying of exhaustion is really not that much fun.
Yeah, and it was interesting because that's the same game that I think I picked up. It was on Game Pass, so I picked it up, and it looked really interesting. And the first scene after you've gone through the tutorial and everything, the plane has crashed. You've
What
basically
tutorial? Oh, you played the story mode?
yes.
No, I didn't.
So I literally had all the firewood around me and a cave, and I knew that I had to collect the firewood and make a fire to survive the night. Not a difficult thing to do. I died 3 times because I couldn't pick anything up because the controls, even though I've been taught the control system, that's not the control system I'm so used to for picking
You will
stuff
get
up.
to pressing E.
Yeah, E or F. Press F in chats because Mike died 3 times. I wish I was streaming it because it would, or at least recording it because it would have been a great example of when control systems go wrong or when the assumptions of players ruin your game.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Where did we get to? We're not on control systems yet. I've talked about that a lot recently. Where were we on the God of War?
Yeah.
Pagos just raised an interesting point. The thing about something like Space Invaders is it's infinitely expandable, right? You can make it really slick, but that's
Yeah.
not what the project is, right? The project is here's the beginnings of the game. Here's how you could expand it. Same with the brick game. What's it called? Arkanoid.
Arkanoid, yeah, the bouncy thing, you break stuff, yeah.
Spooky bricks, right? A single level is fine. Maybe put a second level in so it can show how to transfer between levels, depending on where it is in the course. But once you've got the basics, you should be able to make your version of this game.
I mean, it is actually one of the fundamental problems we suffer when trying to do larger projects, larger games, larger models or whatever, is the fact that there will always be some repetition. And there comes a point where your actual main game loop is done. The repetition now comes from making additional levels. And in a
Well,
course, it's difficult to do 10 levels without doing the same stuff 10 times, and that's not
it's also
valuable.
one of the advantages slash disadvantages of online courses, right? If we were
Yeah.
in a room together and we were making a big project, whether it's a college thing or a summer camp or whatever it is, right? We could have one big project that we're working on, and that iteration is now part of that teaching process.
Yeah.
But we can't realistically give you feedback on each piece of iteration, each iteration of the iteration. So you're just repeating yourself. Like that's not actually a learning journey.
Yeah.
Um, Jelly, I managed to play a game of The Long Dark where I actually died of hypothermia, and I didn't realize what would happen as my character would start just wandering around, like unable to control himself, like just veering off and veering back drunkly, which is great because I just managed to light a fire and he immediately ran away from it and then ran through the fire, giving himself serious burns while dying of hypothermia,
Oh,
which
the
is just
irony. Oh dear, that is rather special. That's a
yeah.
special case of dying.
But yeah, I'd also like to do some nice 3D games in Godot for everyone. I mean, we have Cube Dude, well, Tuki kick about because we're not doing Cube Dude. And there's probably some other fun ones we could do.
And because we're also gaining through both the RPG and other things that we're doing, we're gaining a series of assets
Hmm.
that we can start to use without worry. One of the big issues with assets is we can use Kenny assets. They're a great example. Or
Absolutely.
I'm going to say Copernicus. That's not his name. What is it?
Quaternius?
Quaternius,
Quaternian?
or
Quaternian.
something along those lines. They've got some brilliant assets. We'd like to have some of our own, and of course,
Quaternius. There we go.
one of the issues is we cannot supply assets to people. That's often even against the terms and services of a lot of free assets. You can't just redistribute them. You've got to link
Well,
the
those two
original
you
funds.
can. Like
Those ones you
Quaternius
can,
and
yes.
Penny, absolutely you can. But just looking, Quaternius has some fun new stuff actually.
Yes.
But the advantage of doing it for our stuff is, you get the course, you get these assets.
And the
You can also buy a
they
bigger
fit,
asset pack if you want more
they fit
things.
together properly.
They fit together properly. It's better for, from a very sort of Yiki perspective, it's good for brand recognition. Like our stuff starts looking the same and
Yeah.
being recognized by our stuff. It's also more fun. We get to have characters like Tuki and Avery and Annie Bunny, and what was the name of the other one I put in? I have to open
I
up
can't
Spooky
remember the
Bricks now.
name.
Not Spooky Bricks. Oh, my brain.
Tuki
So
Bubble?
the last no Tuki Kickabout. The last 5 days, I've not managed a full night's sleep. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I don't need the alphas. I need the betas.
Oh, looking something up.
But like last night, I had 4 hours sleep. Night before, I had 3 hours sleep. I just keep waking up. I know what it is for some of it. My next door neighbors, who are just on the other side of my bedroom wall, went away for a week.
Oh,
But
nice.
they forgot to turn their alarm clock off, and it was set for 5 in the morning.
And of course, it doesn't go off. That it like stops after an hour or something.
An hour of beep beep buzz buzz beep beep buzz buzz beep beep, and like I'm trying to keep my sense of humor with it, but after a while, I just want to sleep. Meanwhile, there's my
dear.
cat on me going, "Oh, is it time for food?"
I hear a food alarm.
Yeah.